and welcome to my channel, Fred Makes Things, and today we are talking table runners. I made a Halloween inspired table runner for you all, and I want to talk about it today. So we are going to be discussing the Onyx in Autumn table runner pattern. I printed it off free on the internet. I will have the link to this pattern down in the description box for you if you want to go check it out yourself. It's actually a pretty decent pattern in general, but we're going to talk about some of the issues that I had with it a little later on in this video. So we are going to do this video in 4 parts. Part 1 is talking about why I decided to make a table runner in the first place, inspiration, and all of that jazz. Part 2 is going to be showing you the table runner itself. Part 3 is going to be pros, cons, and user error, as all of these kinds of sewing videos do. And then part 4 is going to be final thoughts and a sign off. I am pre-filming this. This is the last pre-filmed video that you will be seeing. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say it. I'm going to say it again. I was on vacation. If all went well, travel went well, I should have gotten home really late yesterday night. But I didn't want to try to leave a video to be filmed and edited and uploaded for you for the day after I got back. So even though I am back home, this video is easily filmed quite a bit earlier. 2.5 weeks earlier, really, to be exact. So if things change, if life changes and all of that stuff, future me will know, but current me is blissfully unaware of anything. So yeah, if this is your first video clicking on, hello and welcome. And if you've been here for a while, thanks for coming back. Hello to the new subscribers, the OG subscribers, everybody in between. I had just hit 800 subscribers just before I finished, or before I filmed this video. So it'll be interesting to see if I've managed to gain any more in a couple of weeks since then, or if 800 is where I'm going to be hanging out for a little while. Either way, I appreciate every single one of you who subscribes or just watches these videos or interacts with me or anything like that. I am a very small channel and I appreciate all of you. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into part 1, inspiration. So I get Sewers Club a stash builder boxes. I've been getting them for years and years, and I got some really cool green fabrics a little while ago that I really liked. And one fabric in particular, a green and purple batik, really spoke to me, and all I could think about was making some sort of like Halloween inspired table runner without it being like Halloween, if that makes sense. Like I didn't want to do like ghosts and bats and like jack-o'-lanterns and cats or spiders or anything like that. I wanted it to be like a nod towards Halloween with the colors that I chose, and nod towards fall, but not being like in your face spooky. So I worked with that green batik in the back of my mind, this purple and green batik in the back of my mind. And I went onto the internet and I Googled fall table runners, Halloween table runners, all those kinds of like inspirational searches that you do, or research searches. And I came across a couple of patterns that I liked. And a couple of them I would have had to pay for, and a couple of them were free. And I kind of like hemmed and hawed, and through almost the entirety of August, I kind of thought about which one that I wanted to make. And I ended up selecting the one that you're seeing today, the Onyx in Autumn table runner. A, because I thought it was going to be a bit on the easier side, because it looked like pretty simple pumpkins and a cat. And B, I liked that it was free, really, because like I'm so new to piecework and quilting and creating things like this that I wanted something, right, that I wasn't disappointed in having spent money on. That's not to say that, like, you know, it's hard to trust patterns sometimes. Like I've lucked out for the most part purchasing patterns, but I didn't want to buy one. And this one was free. And I really liked that idea about it. And I've kept that in the back of my mind as I worked on it, that I did not pay for this pattern, and there was a lot of work that went into it. So I knew that my color scheme was going to be purple and green. I knew it had to have a cat in it, and I wanted it to not be Halloween-y and a bit of a nod towards fall, but that I could turn into like a Halloween-inspired table runner. And that is how we got here. So like I said, if you want to get this table runner, make this table runner for yourself, feel free to check out the link in the description box. And here, actually it has been on the screen for you, but I'm just remembering to mention it now, is a photo of it in the original designed colors. It is designed to be fall. They want you to have orange for your pumpkins, black for your cat, yellow and green and red for your leaves, a different yellow for your border, and brown for your pumpkin stems, and then white for your background. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool pattern. I really liked it, and I'm glad that I went with this option. Now let's get into part 2, looking at it. So I'm going to show you like what you can see on screen here, but as always, I don't have a large enough filming area to show it to you in its entirety in one go. So after I kind of unravel it for you and show you like the pumpkins and the edging and stuff, you'll see like a full picture of it on my table. So we have leaves, right? Dark purple leaves on a black background. I did that on purpose. Green pumpkins with a purple polka dot cat. I knocked something down. Ooh, I should roll it as I'm talking. Hey, look at me. More pumpkins. Right, I did white here. I'm going to talk about that process in a second. Here's my last pumpkin. More leaves here, right? You've got like a purple border. Leaves down here. Right, and then I did green and purple binding from this fabric here. And this is from Joann Fabrics. So I did the backing in this really cool spider fabric. Then I did the binding to match. So here is a photo of it laid out on my dining room table. It is a pretty good size. The finished size is 15.5 inches by 14.5 inches, approximate 42.5 inches. So 15.5 inches by 42.5 inches approximately. There's always variation based on like stitching and cutting and trimming and quilting and all that jazz. But it should be about that size. It fits my table quite nicely, actually. I kind of like it on here. I like how much space it takes up. Really. And then here's a video up close of me kind of walking over it for you, so you can kind of see the detail together a little bit better in more of like a natural light setting or something. So you can kind of see how it looks, how the variation looks, stuff like that. Like I said, I'm very happy with how the main part of this came out. I really like the cats and the pumpkins. I really like how it looks all together. But yeah, so the top is very much scrap friendly. Like this green pumpkin here is scrap. This green pumpkin here is also from the same scrap. All of the other greens that you see are from the fat quarters that I talked about. This purple polka dot cat is fabric, Halloween fabric that I picked up at Joann Fabrics. I somehow wasn't paying attention and these polka dots touch each other a little bit and I don't like that. But the cat itself I think is quite cute in its design. The white bits are scrap that I had and I couldn't decide. I was kind of building this as I went along and I could not decide if I liked like what color I wanted to do the pumpkin. Or the stems. I didn't want to do purple because, right, like my border and my cat is purple. I didn't want to do brown, partly because I didn't really have much brown scrap and I thought that that would pull away from the quilt. But I saw that I had some white scrap sitting next to me and I thought the white could actually look really cool against all of this purple and black and stuff like that. And it almost kind of looks like they glow. In all of this other darker shades, so I really liked that. The black backing is again from Joann Fabrics. I bought a couple of yards of it because black works in so many ways. And then all of the purple is fat quarters as well. So I did 4 purple fat quarters. This purple strip here, this purple and green, was the basis of me planning everything else out. So I have, or maybe I have three purple fat quarters now that I think about it. Because if you look at my leaves, right, I've got like the watercolor kind of leaf, the spotted kind of leaf, and then the purple and green leaf. So I have those fat quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I used 8 different fat quarters and a bunch of Joann Fabrics material and a little bit of scrap. 2 different types of scrap. My backing I already said was from Joann Fabrics, and what I did inside is insole fleece. So it's a little bit thicker. You can't really tell, but it has like a nice structure to it. Like it's a very stable quilt, very sturdy kind of a quilt and table runner. And I did insole fleece because I wanted it, because of the size of it, I wanted it to be able that I could put just hot items right on here and I have my table runner act as a giant trivet. So I really like how that came out too. So yeah, that is how this looks. So let's get on to part 3, pros, cons, and user error. Pro, I love it. I think it turned out so cool. I like everything. I like how it all kind of came together. I like how the colors really work together. I like how subtle my purple leaves and stuff are, but you can still see them. I really like how the green and the white and the cat really take center stage on this. I love how it glows. I really like these kinds of acidy kind of greens with purple. I love it. Like this here to me is like my favorite Halloween color palette. I think it's just so cool. For the most part, I really liked how the pattern goes about walking you through how to put everything together. It was a pretty straightforward process, and I enjoyed that too. Cons. Okay. There was a lot of cutting, and I forgot to look to see how many pieces I cut for this project. That was part of the cutting instructions, but the number is up on the screen for you. It was a lot of cutting. The green, the pumpkins wasn't. The pumpkins were pretty simple and straightforward. The stems were straightforward, but the cat was a lot of cutting. The cat was, like you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Is that one long piece? Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pieces. Just for the cat alone, just the cat was 14 pieces. And then you had like, like your little fussy pieces to go with the cat as well. So the cat was a lot of cutting. The backing pieces was a lot of cutting because you can't really tell on camera or in the picture or the video, but you could kind of look and see how many pieces are here, because it's like you assembled each one of your pumpkins, right? So like this piece here was one pumpkin, and then you have like all of these like little fussy pieces inside of the pumpkin, right? And then all of the fussy pieces inside this pumpkin. The pumpkins that were not with the cat were a lot easier, but there was still like fussy, like, right, because of all of your angles and all of your cuts and stuff like that. That was a lot. And then your leaves were a gazillion pieces, right? Like what a leaf is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I did that wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pieces for a leaf. And they were 1.5 inches big. Like, I don't know what I was getting into. It was so much cutting and so much like precision because he wanted everything to work out in the end. So yeah, lots of piecing, lots of cutting. It worked out for the most part in the end. So there's that. My big issue though with this is that in your cutting instructions, like your pumpkins are pretty straightforward. Your black cat is pretty straightforward. Your stems are pretty straightforward. All of your leaves are pretty straightforward too. But then for your backing, right, it says from the white fabric, mine is black. All right, like they have, like, it's nice that they have them listed as individual blocks. But it would have been nicer if they had done like cut like 2.5-inch strips and then cut these many pieces from your 2.5 strips, right? Or like have them so that you're doing like en masse cutting and then cutting those pieces down more. Kind of like how the Symphony Block of the Month quilt had us do all of this pre-cutting, all of these pre-cut strips that you then work off of later. Because if you follow this for block 1, right, and then you go into block 2, you have a lot of repeats in sizes between all of your different blocks, all of your different pieces. And so it starts to get a little confusing, like how many pieces and stuff that you use, right? So like a block is a component of 2 pumpkins, but like you can see here, you've got like 1 3/4, 1 3/4, right? And then if you look over on block 2, you've got a whole bunch of other 1 3/4 cuts. So she could have just, or the pattern maker could have just said cut 64 1 3/4 block, right? Squares, instead of like having it listed individually and then having all of the pieces that you need to assemble listed separately after. And I think that would have made it easier, because what I ended up doing, you can see like I've got colors and marks and stuff. As I went through, I wrote down how many of each block size that I needed, and then I went and cut from all of them at once from there. And then it turned out that I had like a couple of extra pieces. I was missing a couple of little pieces, and then I just had to cut like a couple of different pieces afterwards to kind of fit when I miscounted or miscut or misdid something. And that made more sense to me than having to be like, okay, from my large black piece, I'm going to cut like a 2.5-inch strip to cut a 2-piece, right? And then what, now I'm down to 2 by 2 1/4, and then like 2 1 by 1 squares. Like it would make more sense to me if all of your dimensions for your white were laid out, or your black in my case, were laid out first, and then told you where they went in your block assembly later, if that makes any sense to you. But other than that, the pattern works quite nicely. They do highly, either they assume that you're quite comfortable with piecing your pieces together in this pattern, but they also refer you back to their blog to be like, well, if you're not sure, check out my blog. So they also don't tell you where, in which direction you should be ironing your seams towards. So I kind of just played it pretty fast and loose with my directionality, and it came out pretty well for all of my pumpkins and stuff, but I did hit some snags when it came to my leaves. So all of this was pretty straightforward, and then we got into the leaf assembly. And again, I'm not sure who this pattern was written for, because they have you make half square triangles, but they wanted you to cut your triangles on a diagonal first, sew them, and then trim them. And I thought, well, why wouldn't we just do like the half square triangle method of 2 large squares sewn together, right, on the half an inch away from your diagonal, then cutting your diagonal apart and then opening everything up. Like, that made more sense to me, so that's what I did. But they talked about cutting them in as triangles first and then sewing them, so I skipped that and did that differently. I did do the stems the same way. I attached them all the same way, but again, they didn't tell me in which direction my seams should point, and so some of my seams are quite bulky in my leaves. And also, as always, some of my points aren't as nice, like they've been cut off, like that point's cut off, that point's cut off, that point's cut off, these points are cut off. Like, when I was squaring everything up, I ended up losing quite a few of my points. I still have some really nice intact ones, like that one and that one and that one are all intact, but a lot of my points on my leaves are lost. So yeah, they walk you through how to do all of the leaves, and then your final assembly comes together. And they just say bind your quilt. Like, you've made quilts a million times, you know what is coming up. So my biggest con is that like, I wish this pattern was written a little bit better. User error. I just mentioned some of my points are cut off. I needed to be more patient with making my leaves. I don't like the way that the polka dots sit here, but I'm sure that if nobody pointed it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed. And my biggest user error is actually on the back. I did the masking tape system for quilting, so I have like really small squares, diamond shape, and I think that's really cool. But when you're working on bigger pieces like this, they recommend, or any pieces really, that you switch the direction of your quilting. So you go down and then you come back up, and then you go down and then you come back up, and that's supposed to help with puckers and stuff like that. But where I sew these, I don't have a lot of space, so it's easier just to go in the same direction. And I came across my very first issue ever with that, in that I have this really big pucker here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I've got this pucker here, and it runs quite a far. And then I have a matching one right here. I think it'll disappear more after it's been washed. I'm part of like a quilt organization group, and I went to that and I asked them, what should I do? Because there's a whole bunch of very experienced quilters in there. Some said tear it out, some said leave it. The consensus was, it depends on how you're feeling about it and whether you're going to be happy with the puckers or not. And I decided in the long run, it's on the back and I don't want to tear out 10 rows of quilting to go to fix it. So that is my biggest user error. Also, when I was binding, you can't tell, but when I was binding, I completely missed the edge when I was doing my closing stitch on the other side. So for like the first time ever, I went in and I hand stitched my binding down. So there is no pop, it's all stitched down. That was a user error that actually ended up turning out quite nicely. My last user error is some of my leaves are facing the wrong direction, so it doesn't completely match the pattern, but I'm okay with that. So let's do part 4, final thoughts and sign off. I'm really happy with how this came out. I really like the pumpkins and the cat. I really like the purple border. If I were to make this again, I would not cut out the leaves. I found the leaves to be just super fussy, and for me personally, not necessary for the table runner in general. So I would have taken the leaves out and just had like a nice square border going all the way around. If you are new to quilting or piecing and you like this pattern, but the leaves are daunting, just take them out. Like, assemble your main piece and then figure out how big you need to make your borders, really, and then just go from there. Like, piece it together a little bit more and it should be fine. Like, it should be easier. And I wish I had done that, because this table runner took me like over a week to make. It took me like 6 hours, I think, to cut out all of the pieces. The pumpkins went really fast, but it took me 2 days to cut and square out the leaves. That's with breaks, but it took me 2 days to cut out the leaves, to sew the leaves and square them off. So I would say just the leaves in general, just the 12 leaves in general probably took me like 6 hours, 8 hours to put together. It took me 4 hours to actually quilt the quilt, and I actually had to run out to Joann and pick up more purple thread to finish quilting it. Binding it, that was only like an afternoon. That was like 2 hours. So all in all, I would say that this one quilt here took me 25 hours to make, and it's just a table runner. Like, I can't imagine the amount of work that some of these larger quilts, like these like really beautiful intricate large quilts, take. The patience, the effort, like I don't know, it just seems like so much work. But I'm so happy that I have it, and in general I would say that the pattern is a pretty good pattern.
Editing Fred here. I don't want to discount the fact that this is a free pattern as well, and I believe that expectations shouldn't be as high when it comes to a free pattern, because like the person who wrote this pattern took the time to do all of the planning, do all of the cutting, do all of the the fussiness with each and every single dimension, and like they go down in one spot on this quilt. There's a square that is 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. Like, their attention to detail in the creation of this pattern is really nice. Like, there are problems with it, and there are ways that I would have preferred that it had been written, but overall and in general, the fact that it's free and the fact that you have to like think about the amount of work that must have gone into creating this pattern just shouldn't be discounted. And while I'm editing this part, I don't think that I focused enough on the fact that like I didn't have to pay for this pattern, and it's a big pattern, right? With lots of little intricate pieces. So I just wanted to say that really quickly here before it sounds like I'm just being super negative about this pattern. I do really enjoy it, and I would make it again.
And that everything is great, and I'm very happy to have this, and I'm happy to have it on my table for this Halloween spooky season. So I now pass that off to you. What do you think of this project? Do you like it? Do you like the colors? Is there a different fall Halloween kind of table runner or project that you would like to have seen made? Like even just the cat, like this like 3 pumpkin scenario would make like a really cute placemat. So anyway, what do you think? Do you like it? Do you not? Why not? How do you think my piecing is coming along? Like I'm really proud of how my cat turned out. Not so much the leaves, but the cats are pretty awesome. But let me know everything that you think down in the comment section. Friday is weird. If you have been following my comment or my community tab, you know that I've posted my plans for uploads for the next couple of weeks, and Friday is actually going to be our Sewers Club project unboxing video for this month. It should have happened today, but like I said, there was no way I was going to plan on having a video up on the day after I get home, especially since I get home so late at night in the evening. Like I don't think I get home until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, Friday is a Sewers Club project unboxing. Monday is a crochet unboxing video, and then after that I'm not sure if my upload schedule knows or not, but do think about subscribing and hanging out and seeing what we're going to do with the run up to Christmas, because that is going to be coming quickly. And I am going to go. So do let me know what you think about this. Do like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you would like. And yeah, with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you again soon. Bye!